I've been a stay-at-home girlfriend for a year now, and my biggest takeaways is that you have to find joy in little things. So the things that I have done to make my life a little bit different is I do go to the gym every single day, and I'm there for 5 hours typically a day. Ever since I was little, I knew I didn't want to go to college and then have to get a job after, but that isn't the cards for everybody. I didn't think that I was able to not even go, so I brainwashed myself to think that I had to go to college and then I had to get a job after.
I'm 20 years old, I'm a stay-at-home girlfriend, barely graduated high school, I have no intention of going to college, I only worked a job for a short time.
This is why you bitches are still single and not a stay-at-home girlfriend yet? Did you make your man breakfast this morning? Do you know how to cook eggs? Do you know how to put toast in a toaster?
Oh, hello everybody. Welcome and welcome back. Today we're looking at the stay-at-home girlfriend cinematic universe, where apparently unemployment has been rebranded as a luxury lifestyle. And after watching these clips, I have approximately 17 questions and absolutely no patience left. So let's get into it.
Like and subscribe, or I will tickle your pickle.
I've been a stay-at-home girlfriend for a year now, and my biggest takeaways is that you have to find joy in little things. Your days start to blend, you do the same thing every single day, it does get a little boring.
Okay, a year and your biggest takeaway is that you have to find little activities to stop yourself from being bored? Girl, that's not exactly the advertisement you think it is, because she's literally telling us that her days blend together. She does the same thing every day. She's bored.
So the things that I have done to make my life a little bit different is I do go to the gym every single day, and I'm there for 5 hours typically a day.
5 hours? What are you doing in there? Are you working out or did you just get a lease?
I don't work out for the full 5 hours. I work out for an hour and a half maybe. We'll go outside and read. Reading's the second thing that I do. I read for maybe 3 hours a day. I really enjoy reading. I do babysit pretty often, so that's fun. I do that maybe 3 times a week, so that kind of switches up my nights a little bit. But you just have to find joy in little things to make your days not seem like every other day.
You exercise for an hour and a half and then apparently spend the remaining 3.5 hours negotiating with the dumbbells. And look, I'm not even saying that you need to work a miserable 9 to 5 to have a meaningful existence, but if you've removed work, school, career development, and basically every external obligation from your life, then you probably need to replace that structure with something meaningful. Because otherwise, yeah, Tuesday is going to feel exactly like Wednesday. And this comment actually made me laugh. You're already bored? Please explore college. You are young. Educate yourself. There's so much out there. Read things other than those novels. Honestly, I don't even care if it's college specifically. Go learn something. Take a course, learn a language, study history, learn coding, start a business, make art, build something. Do literally anything that makes your world bigger. Because I have 3 hours every day to read novels is not automatically the intellectual life people think it is. Reading can be amazing, but if your entire existence is consuming things instead of producing anything, eventually you're just sitting there collecting information like a human Kindle.
That's why being a stay-at-home girlfriend works for me. Ever since I was little, I knew I didn't want to go to college and then have to get a job after, but that isn't the cards for everybody. I didn't think that I was able to not even go, so I brainwashed myself to think that I had to go to college and then I had to get a job after.
Okay, that's fine. As I said, you don't have to go to college. You don't have to want a traditional career. But then she says she brainwashed herself into thinking she had to go to college and get a job. No, that's not brainwashing. Someone telling you, hey, maybe get an education and learn how to support yourself is not a psychological operation. Your mother wasn't sitting beside your crib whispering, the workforce is coming. And this is where I think the language matters. If you say, I realized the traditional path wasn't for me, cool, that's your decision. But saying education and employment are brainwashing while presenting financial dependence on your boyfriend as liberation? Girl, you didn't escape dependence. You just changed who you are dependent on.
So when I met my boyfriend, he told me I didn't do those things. I was very shocked and very surprised that that was even an option. So I hopped on that very quickly, and I took the opportunity to be with my boyfriend, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. But whenever I do used to work, it was very draining. I was very drained at the end of the night. I didn't want to do anything, and I couldn't focus on cooking and cleaning and doing things that I liked personally. Like I didn't read, I didn't go to the gym until I stopped working. So I really do find joy in like the things that I do now that I'm not working. I have so much time to do things that I do like.
And this is the part that genuinely bothers me. Why is your boyfriend the person deciding whether you need a future? Because right now, everything is great. He's wonderful, he's supportive, he's paying for things. Amazing. But what happens if the relationship ends? What happens if his finances change? What happens if you change your mind? What happens if you're 29 and suddenly realize you actually want a career? The world does not pause because your boyfriend was nice to you at 20. And then somebody comments, "Bless your heart, the breakup is gonna rock your world." Jesus Christ, that's brutal.
Anyway, so
I'm 20 years old, I'm a stay-at-home girlfriend, barely graduated high school, I have no intention of going to college, I only worked a job for a short time. I can't physically drive and I'm completely reliant on my partner for my support needs. And if your first instinct was to type out a hate comment or any type of comment degrading me in any way, then I'm here to remind you of a few things before you post your comments. I am a disabled American. And America is built primarily on transportation via car.
Okay, this one needs a little more nuance. She explains that she's disabled and can't drive. And I'm not going to sit here and make fun of somebody for having a disability. That's ridiculous. If someone genuinely has limitations that affect their ability to work, drive, travel, or live independently, those limitations are real. But the conclusion that follows is where I disagree.
So since I cannot drive, I am forced to rely on my partner or really anyone who is willing to drive me. So because I can't drive, I'm not really able to do any hobbies, so I have to be stay-at-home. That is the reality for myself and many other Americans right now. Because y'all's privilege is really coming out when you do this shit. Because if the first thing you take from this is to make a hate comment or respond with a hate video of any kind bashing me, then you're part of the fucking problem. Because y'all can't do critical thinking and just think that maybe some of us are stay-at-homes because we don't have a fucking choice. So there's just a small glimpse of my life that I have no choice to live. Hope you guys enjoy.
Relying on people for transportation is one thing. Being unable to drive does not automatically mean you have no possible path toward independence. Those are two completely different statements. Depending on where you live, there may be accessible transportation, remote education, remote work, community programs, assistive technology, and other ways of participating in society. None of those systems are perfect, but I can't drive does not logically equal, therefore I must financially depend on my boyfriend. That's a huge leap. And I think this is where people need to stop confusing a limitation with a life sentence. You might have things that you genuinely can't do. Okay, then figure out what you can do. Because the second you convince yourself that your circumstances mean you have absolutely no agency, you have already surrendered. And I'm not romanticizing surrender.
Anyway, so
This is why you bitches are still single and not a stay-at-home girlfriend yet? Did you make your man breakfast this morning? Do you know how to cook eggs? Do you know how to put toast in a toaster? Did you make him coffee?
Oh my god, we're back in the trenches. Did you make your man breakfast? Do you know how to cook eggs? Do you know how to put toast in a toaster? Guys, the toaster. Apparently, this is why I'm single. I've been exposed.
If he makes money, he probably drinks black coffee, and if he drinks anything else, I'd be a little bit concerned.
Well, what the fuck? What does that even mean? Are we measuring masculinity by caffeine preferences now? Oh no, he ordered a vanilla latte. Get him out, he's gay. This is just rage bait, and I actually think cooking for your partner can be really sweet. You know, your boyfriend had a long day, so you make him dinner. Cute. Your girlfriend is exhausted, so you make her coffee. Cute as fuck. But you're single because you don't know how to make a man eggs. Please, be serious. And also, why is being single automatically treated like a character flaw? That's what gets me. Single, loser, married, winner, stay-at-home girlfriend, queen, work miserable? Like, we're still in high school fighting over cafeteria tables. Your relationship status is not a fucking achievement badge.
anyway, so
A morning in the life of a 21-year-old stay-at-home girlfriend. So to start my day, I went downstairs. I actually got some new slippers, so I popped those on, and I obviously had to start with coffee. The only way I can start my mornings. I went with a Colombian one today. It was really good. Put the milk on to froth and washed out and milk, and then I got my breakfast ready. So today's breakfast, I went for some fruit. I also tried keto clusters for the first time, which was quite interesting. Yeah, so this is my breakfast and coffee ready. Then I just went to watch a film. I watched Fallout, the new Mission Impossible film.
Okay, slippers, coffee, fruit, a movie. This is already less of a morning routine and more of a loading screen.
Then the maid came, which was kind of annoying because she got in my way, which was a bit rude. But anyway, that was my morning because this kind of finished at the end of the morning. So yeah, thanks for watching.
The maid, girl, the person whose job is to clean your house is inconveniencing you by cleaning your house. Oh my god. And again, I don't care if you're rich enough to have a maid. Have a maid. Have 5. I don't give a shit. Have a butler named Reginald or something who appears from behind a curtain whenever you want sparkling water. I don't care. But don't present I watched a movie while somebody else cleaned my house as evidence that you have discovered the meaning of life. Because what are you actually building? What skills are you developing? What happens if the relationship changes? What happens if the money disappears? The slippers aren't transferable skills. Neither is watching Mission Impossible.
There's been a lot of negative discourse and scrutiny around the whole stay-at-home girlfriend and tradwives trend. I was getting so many media inquiries to interview me, including Dr. Phil. I just didn't think that it was going to be painted in a very positive light. When I was making those vlogs, I was simply just vlogging my lifestyle. Wasn't intending on promoting negative stereotypes, but I can see how it can be taken that way. The more important reason as to why I stopped is because I didn't want to be labeled a stay-at-home girlfriend. I think it really struck me when I went to an event and this girl came up to me and was like, "Oh, you're the stay-at-home girlfriend." Out of all my videos, the 5 stay-at-home girlfriend vlogs were what stuck with it.
Okay, this one I find very interesting because she's saying she didn't intend to promote negative stereotypes. Honestly, I want to believe her because here's the problem, you don't completely control what your content communicates just because you didn't intend it to communicate that thing. If you make 5 videos showing your life as a stay-at-home girlfriend, people are probably going to associate you with being a stay-at-home girlfriend. That's not exactly a conspiracy.
I'm a content creator. I have an income from it. I put a lot of effort into my content and brand partnerships. Do I spend that income? Maybe, maybe not. My point is, I didn't want to credit my boyfriend, especially in areas he has completely nothing to do with.
Okay, and now we're talking because this is a completely different situation. You're creating content, you're making money, you're building a brand, you're developing skills. That's a career, and whether somebody personally thinks social media is a real job is irrelevant. If people pay you for your work, congratulations. Capitalism has recognized your existence. Yay!
I just don't want my boyfriend's ability to take care of me to overshadow my broader work and achievements. That's my spiel.
She kinda accidentally makes my argument for me. She says she doesn't want her boyfriend's ability to support her to overshadow her own achievements. Exactly, that's the point. Your partner supporting you should not erase your ability to support yourself. So if you're using the financial breathing room your partner gives you to build a business, gain skills, save money, create something, great. That's smart. But that's very different from my boyfriend pays for everything and I have no plan.
Anyway, so
why is being a stay-at-home mom and depending on a man becoming a trend again?
I have questions for the women who think like this and the women who commented on this. Being with a provider man puts you in a vulnerable position to be abused financially, then why are the women I know in the most financially abusive relationships the one living paycheck to paycheck because they're going 50-50 with a man? Why is it that the women that I've had to bail out, loan money to, help get out of a horrible situation, not the ones being provided for, but the ones going 50-50?
Because financial abuse isn't determined by whether you're going 50-50. That's not how abuse works. You can have 2 working people where one controls all the money. You can have one provider where the woman has complete financial freedom. The issue is control, not the fucking spreadsheet.
2, if I shouldn't depend on a man, why should I sign a legally binding agreement with them? Why would you risk your health, your job, even your life to get pregnant for someone that you cannot depend on?
Marriage is not a financial strategy. Please, you don't get married because you're trying to diversify your portfolio. And yes, marriage creates legal protections that dating doesn't, which is exactly why being a stay-at-home wife and being a stay-at-home girlfriend are not remotely the same legal situation. A boyfriend can break up with you in a second. There is no relationship constitution.
3, someone commented and said they're less likely to respect you when you depend on them financially. Why would I be with someone, or why would you be with someone who only respects you for what you bring to the table financially? Will he not respect you when you have to take time off work to have his children? Does he not respect your domestic labor, your child rearing labor, your household labor? What if he dies? What if the person that you're going 50-50 with dies? A lot of people in 50-50 or who have jobs still rely on their partner financially in one way or another. Does this not have so much more to do with life insurance and financial planning than whether or not that person provides for you or their income? What if it doesn't work out? What if he leaves you? First of all, we do have laws in place for that, but second of all, you really just need to look at Sex and the City, because a broke man will always leave you with nothing. But if you look at the difference between Charlotte and Miranda, neither of their relationships worked out, yet Charlotte got left with a multi-million-dollar apartment on Park Avenue, yet Miranda is still fighting this man over an apartment that she paid for.
Oh wow, we're using Sex and the City as financial planning advice. Oh my god, I'm done, you guys. I'm done. I'm not opening a TFSA based on Charlotte York's divorce strategy.
And lastly, this creator asked, aren't we going backwards? Haven't we learned from our ancestors? And the thing is I feel like that is exactly why this movement is going on, is because of what we've learned from our ancestors. Is that you really cannot have it all. And if you bring something more to the table in terms of finances, it does not mean that that man is going to bring more to the table in terms of household labor. They just did a study on this in Britain. Even though 45% of women are the primary breadwinner in their household, they're still doing more than 70% of the household labor. What we've taken away from our ancestors and what's going on in the world right now is that if you do not take finances into consideration when choosing a partner, you will likely end up working while pregnant. You will likely end up missing a lot of your child's formative year. You will likely pay 50% of the rent while still doing the majority of the household labor. You will likely be in a situation where your feminine labor, like childcare, house care, is going to be devalued and not respected.
Women can earn money and still end up doing most of the household labor. Yes, that absolutely can happen, but the solution isn't therefore become financially dependent on a man. The solution is find a partner who actually contributes. Crazy, I know. You don't solve an unfair relationship by making yourself more financially vulnerable.
Anyway, so
The good thing about being a stay-at-home girlfriend or a stay-at-home wife is the freedom of chasing and discovering your dreams, your passions, without having to worry to pay the bills.
By the way, if you didn't know, the bills still exist, you know? Your boyfriend just paid them. They didn't evaporate into the fucking ether.
I've talked about this 100 times, but since I always have new people following me, I feel like I need to talk about this subject again, because I think it can be very misleading when a younger girl watches my content and thinks that she wants to have a provider man as well, which every woman deserves, in my opinion. What I don't agree with is that you should spend your day at home doing nothing, okay? And it's not only about being independent, whatever, it's about being an interesting person. I'm obviously talking about people who do not have kids yet, because having kids is a full-time job. But if you are a stay-at-home wife or stay-at-home girlfriend, you should be chasing your dreams, your passions, discovering yourself.
But I kind of agree with her that if somebody has that financial breathing room, they should use it. Learn, create, build, study, start a business, develop skills, do something.
My boyfriend has told me before that if I didn't do anything, he wouldn't want me to be a stay-at-home girlfriend, because I would literally just be depressed at home every single day. And who wants to be around that?
Yes, that's the most important thing she says in this whole video, by the way, because humans need purpose. You can have money, you can have free time, you can have a beautiful apartment and still be miserable, because comfort and fulfillment are not the same thing. You cannot buy yourself a personality.
So whenever someone asks me, how do you protect yourself? I protect myself by being someone who has skills. I protect myself by working and saving all of my money. I never knew what job I wanted to have growing up. Never knew what I wanted to be. Because my boyfriend gave me the freedom to explore myself, to explore my passions, I realized that I am a very creative person. I love to bake. I love to do flower arrangements. I love to create content for social media. So for the first year of being a stay-at-home girlfriend, I had a photography business. I traveled around Europe to create content for hotels and fashion brands, and I loved it. Still to this day, I receive messages from you guys telling me that you saw me in a hotel's page, whatever. It's very funny. But while I was doing that, I was also creating content on social media. And last year, I started doing a lot more money on social media compared to my photography business. So what I do now, I am a content creator on social media. Now, I know a lot of you don't consider that as a real job because unfortunately our society doesn't see female-dominated jobs as real jobs, as serious jobs. Sometimes I'm scrolling on TikTok and I go to a comment section and someone is asking an influencer with millions of followers, what she does for a living, which is so crazy to me. It's so crazy. You have no idea the amount of money these people are doing. They are doing your whole yearly salary in one video. It's just crazy. You have no idea. It's ridiculous. And some of you may think, but Flor, you only have, over 100 followers on TikTok. Do you make that much money? I don't make that much money, but I make enough money for someone who lives in, a smaller country. Probably if I lived, in New York or whatever, I could never live off my content creation money. But in Portugal, I make in one video what most Portuguese people make in a month. I don't make that many partnerships because I don't have to pay the bills, but the ones I do, I always save my money. So yes, I could be independent.
Okay, then you're actually building something. Good. She has a skill. She has an income. She has a portfolio. She has an audience. That's valuable. And then she says she saves her money. Good. That's exactly what I want to hear. Because now if the relationship ends, she isn't standing there with zero experience and $0. She has options.
A few months ago, I was in a business meeting with my boyfriend and there was an investor there, millionaire, okay? A millionaire investor from New York. When he found out I had a TikTok following, he spent the whole lunch asking me questions, okay? Asking me for tips to grow their business's account, whatever. By the end of the lunch, he offered me a position as a social media manager. I don't have a marketing degree, obviously declined because I don't need it, but knowing how to grow a brand is so crucial in today's world. So crucial, such a valuable skill. Everyone who owns a business values it, and only those who have tried it know how difficult it is. So yes, being independent, having skills is very important, no matter if you have a provider man or not, okay? And don't let society tell you that female-dominated jobs are not valuable. I know stay-at-home wives who sell cakes, who do nails a few hours per week. I only work a few hours per week as well. There are so many things you can do part-time as a woman, okay? Don't lose yourself. Keep improving yourself. Doesn't matter if a man is paying for your bills or not. Keep chasing your dreams.
And then somebody offered her a social media manager position because of her skills. Well, again, this is why skills matter. Your boyfriend's bank account isn't a skill. Your ability to create value is. And ironically, her entire argument becomes much stronger when she's talking about developing skills and much weaker when she's talking about simply being supported.
Anyway, so
coming from somebody who has been a stay-at-home girlfriend for 3 years, it's not the life you want. And when I say stay-at-home wife, mom, girlfriend, whatever, I mean you are relying solely on your partner's income.
And that's why social media can be dangerous, because you're seeing the apartment, the vacations, the shopping, the coffee, the flowers. You don't see the anxiety at 2 a.m. You don't see the arguments. You don't see the financial dependence. You don't see what happens when the camera turns off.
I saw a quote a long time ago, and I wish I listened to it. If you give a man the power to feed you, he also has the power to starve you.
Dramatic wording, but the underlying principle is absolutely worth thinking about. If another person controls your access to money, they have leverage. And I don't care how much you trust someone. Trust is not a substitute for contingency planning. You can love somebody and have your own bank account. You can trust somebody and have savings. You can be married and still know how to financially survive without them. Those things are not mutually exclusive.
When I tell you there was no amount of gifts, trips, nothing truly made me happy. And honestly, I convinced all of you that I was living the life. I feel like that's what a lot of women do. They try to convince themselves and everybody else that they're enjoying their life of not having anything for themselves. I was showing you guys this nice apartment, my daily Target runs, I was going crazy every single day. And there is a lawyer on TikTok. She said the divorce rate with stay-at-home moms and wives is very, very high. It's kind of the same story every time on why they're filing for divorce. The man says, you don't have to work, just stay with me. All you gotta do is take care of the family. To a lot of you guys, that would be music to your ears. If he is paying for your whole life and you don't have any income at all, there will start to be a resentment. I'm just glad I was young. I didn't have any kids. I was not married. I was able to start my life before I wasted more years just staying in the house. Being in a relationship where you know you will have nothing when you leave, or if this person ever leaves, that's not gonna feel good, And also something else I didn't like about having my life completely funded, You kind of have to let them do whatever they want. To like go about things differently and tolerate a lot of BS because your life is on the line. And as delusional as I was, I knew that I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Once you add kids into the equation, you're probably never gonna leave. Because once you pop out that kid, that's when you really, really sign a death contract. Like, you can't go back now. Because if you leave, not only do you have to fend for yourself, you have to fend for an innocent life too. So you're definitely not leaving if you have no income. I ain't doing no wrestling. Getting back into the workforce is not easy. Go ahead and do your research. And I'm pretty sure you're thinking, oh, I could just get alimony. That's like a unicorn. Do you know how much money that man makes? Did you make him sign a prenup? Because you will get comfortable staying at home, not doing shit. And then before you know it, 10 years passes by, you got kids, your husband's cheating on you with a younger woman. Are you gonna stay or are you gonna take your kids, get a divorce, get a job? Staying home and taking care of the kids and the house, I think that's outdated. We're in a different time now.
And this is the part I really want young women to understand, because when you're 20, 5 years feels like nothing. Then suddenly you are 25, then 30, and you realize those years were spent developing someone else's household instead of developing yourself. Can you return to the workforce? Absolutely. Is it impossible? No. But can a long absence make things harder? Absolutely. Skills change, industries change, technology changes, your network changes, and employers can care about gaps. That's reality.
I do believe a man should provide, but I do believe that you should have your own income too.
Yes, there we go. That's basically my position. A man providing isn't automatically bad. A woman staying home isn't automatically bad, but even though I don't prefer it, but that's another topic. The problem is having no exit. If you have savings, skills, education, work experience, a business, investments, whatever, you have options. And options are power.
I'm just gonna be real. I think all men cheat, especially if they have money. They have access to hundreds of women that look better than you. That might be controversial, but it's the truth. So I don't think that putting your whole life into a man's hands is a good idea right now. But I'm just being real, and I'm just trying to look out for the young women who are planning their whole lives around being a stay-at-home wife. And I hope that there are some stay-at-home wives, moms, girlfriends watching this. I hope you guys can put your pride aside and back me up in the comments and tell them I'm right.
No. You had me and then you lost me, girl. Like, you cannot make an excellent argument about financial independence and then casually announce that every man with money is cheating. That's not how human beings work, I believe. Money doesn't install a cheating chip in your brain. There are loyal wealthy men, there are cheating wealthy men, there are loyal broke men, there are cheating broke men. Please.
Stay-at-home girlfriend is the dumbest string of words I've ever heard in my life, and they never belonged in a sentence together.
Oh, we're ending on violence.
It is not an easy life to be completely financially reliant on a boyfriend. Why are y'all leaving the workforce for a man who is not even your husband? Who literally could be here today, gone tomorrow, and he owes you nothing.
Thank you, finally, because this is the part that makes absolutely no sense to me. If you're married and you have deliberately agreed that one person works while the other manages the home, okay, we can divide the financial risks and other parts of it, but at least there is a legal relationship. A girlfriend? Girl, you're quitting your job for a man who can break up with you through a text message. Hey babe, I'm sorry, I just don't feel the same anymore. And you're standing there like, okay, what are we doing?
Go get a degree, go to trade school, start a career, just have a job, something. For the love of God, can y'all please stop being stay-at-home girlfriends? It is not smart.
Yes, and notice she isn't even saying you need some glamorous six-figure corporate career. She's saying have something, a skill, a trade, a degree, a business, a job, a portfolio, something that belongs to you. Because your relationship should be something you want to stay in, not something you are financially incapable of leaving. That's the distinction.
I'm just tired of seeing it. I think it is the dumbest string of words I have ever heard strung together. Anyway, the soft life you desire is on the other side of building a career that you love.
Honestly, that's probably the perfect way to end this, because people keep confusing comfort with freedom. Having somebody else pay your bills can be comfortable, but freedom is having options. Imagine your boyfriend pays your rent. Amazing, but you also have savings, you have skills, you have your own income. You could leave tomorrow and still be okay. That is freedom. Not sitting around praying your boyfriend never changes his mind. And that's basically my entire issue with this trend, I don't care if your boyfriend buys you flowers. Good for you. I don't care if he pays the rent. I don't care if you stay home. I don't care if you cook every day. If two adults genuinely agree to an arrangement and everybody is happy, whatever, live your life. But don't confuse being financially supported with being financially secure. Those are not the same thing. And please, for God's sake, don't teach a 20-year-old girl that her ultimate life goal should be finding a man rich enough that she never has to develop herself, because men can leave. Jobs disappear. Businesses fail. People get sick. Relationships end. Life does whatever the fuck it wants. You don't need to assume everyone is secretly plotting against you. You just need to be prepared enough that if life punches you in the face, you don't immediately become homeless. And honestly, the strongest version of this entire lifestyle is the woman who says, my partner supports me, but I'm still building myself. Okay, respect, that's different, because now his money is a luxury, not your life support system. You have your own brain, your own skills, your own money, your own ambitions, and if the relationship lasts forever, amazing. You built a life together. If it doesn't, you still have a life. That is the part I care about. Because I don't want women to become obsessed with finding a provider. I want them to become so capable that having a provider is optional. That's the difference. Anyway, that's enough stay-at-home girlfriend content for one lifetime. I've watched enough women make coffee, read books, go to the gym for 5 hours, watch movies, get annoyed at maids, argue about Charlotte from Sex and the City, and somehow turn unemployment into a geopolitical issue. I'm going outside. I need to touch grass. Goodbye.